your landing page on the website.
All right.
So for the live stream. So
okay. All right. Give her a few extra seconds to be ready. And then I will send the bat signal out here that we are the lit signal, not the bat signal. Yeah, I think of Batman. I can't help it. All right, here we go. Boom. That is up. All right. So lit is sent.
The fuse is burning.
Yeah, the fuse is burning. We'll see if it works. All right, here we go, everybody.
Todd and Rob in the afternoon.
Afternoon delight.
With Todd and Rob. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, here we are. Welcome to the new
Yeah.
welcome to the new media show. It's another Wednesday. We're back at it. So how you been, Rob?
I'm doing terrific, Todd. It's great. We're coming up into conference season again. It's funny how that works. You know, it was a bunch of them towards the end of summer, and now there's a bunch of them coming into spring. So I'm excited to get out and see podcasters and see the industry now wearing a new hat. So
right. Oh, that's right. Wearing a new hat, wearing the Podbean hat.
Yeah.
So that ought to be interesting. Hey, we are lit and live. I want to thank all of you that are tuning in live to see, although I didn't see the bat signal go out on one of the apps. I don't see Podverse. Oh, there we go. Podverse did kick it finally. So we're up with Podverse and all the other apps. So those of you that are listening on a new podcast app at newpodcastapps.com, boost away. We are going to watch for your boost. And but anyway, hey, thanks everyone for tuning in today. We are Rob, I'm learning a lot.
There's actually surprisingly a lot of stuff going on right now. Things definitely picked up.
You know, we've been testing Valley for Valley or Lit, everything in our platform, and then we're implementing in PowerPress, and they're all demoing it to me today, and I've got a new developer that's working on it, and I'm like, by the way, I said channels, categories, taxonomy, podcasting. I said, you don't have any of those enabled. Have you copied that code over into those sections? And he's like, huh?
What's that?
so we had a little quick call, and I got the other developer on. I said, can you give him a rundown of how this, because I think there's like 25 different ways you can make a feed in PowerPress. One size doesn't fit all. So I was like, so we've got everything ready. It's working in the feed. So maybe next week on PowerPress and everything, but yeah, but we had a couple of big announcements. Well, one, we launched a new product called Quick Links. Did you see our page? Did you look?
I have not seen it yet.
So I have to.
Why don't you throw it up?
Let's see if I can show you. It's at podcast.show/new media. So let me load it up here and see if I can find the right button to push. Not that one, this one. And this is what it is. It's kind of like it's designed to allow people, and we're going to have more features in a premium version of this, but it's basically designed to get everything you need for social and for your show, to subscribe, and basically a quick way to promote the podcast. So we've got newmediashow.com. We can promote the website, but this is just for podcasters that may need a little more. And we got the ability to see all the destinations, connect on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can play the latest episodes of the show. Matter of fact, I need to change us to the new player because I've got the old player set up so we can actually see the closed caption. But let me give you an idea what it looks like for Geek News. So we got the ability.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
that's a different design of the player.
Right? Yeah, that's the new player, the one with the closed caption support. So I'll get that switched out. It's just a setting I have to make in our dashboard. But really what we decided to do with this was it's basically a part of a SmartLinks competitor to Chartable. So we rolled this out to give and ultimately there's going to be tracking and a whole bunch of other stuff we're going to add to it. But this is V1, or they said MVP one, whatever it's called in the coding world. But anyway, that's got some good press. And then I think I can announce it here because not a lot of people are listening. But we actually integrated with Hophonic, so we're releasing media mastering and integrated with Hophonic. So when a podcaster uploads their file, WAV or MP3, hopefully WAV, we'll ship it over to Hophonic. They'll process it, send it back, and for those that opt in to get a media mastered file. So
So what's the scope of the processing that they're typically doing on the audio files?
well, the way we set it up was they're going to set the levels at minus 16 LUFS. We're doing noise reduction, adaptive leveling, and normalization. So we pre-selected 3 settings and a default bit rate for the file to come back to us at. So we're going to give all our customers 30 days to play with that, and then they have to pay for it. But we're pretty excited about that. I don't know. Have you used Hophonic before, Rob?
I have not. So do you give the option of different playback bit rates on the coming back part?
Yeah, they can set the bit rate on what they want, and if they want it stereo or mono. So I think by default we set it to 128, but people can select whatever they want, whatever level in the settings. And it was really one of those things where I've used Hophonic for years and years and years, since their inception, and a big fan of their products. So we knew they had an API. There's another host that's integrated with Hophonic, but they don't admit that it's Hophonic. But I think Hophonic has such a good brand name, we wanted to make sure we recognized that what was powering this media mastering.
I think that platform begins with the letter or the word buzz.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah, so they've been integrated for a while. They don't call it that, but I think
it's Magic Mastering.
Magic Mastering, right. Yeah. So okay, there's nothing magic to it. We send it over to Hophonic, they process it and send it back. And it is magic. What happens?
A little bit of marketing spin on that.
This show's always been mastered with Hophonic from the very, very beginning. So, and again, I do no editing except cutting the ends and send it off. So, pretty excited about that. And then we got some other stuff coming at the end of the month. So, there's my pitch. I'm pitching.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, so what's going on at Podbean?
Well, like I said, we're getting fired up for the conferences coming up. Podfest is coming, and so we've got a big play that we're doing down there. So,
good.
So, and then we're doing this show down there too. Yep. So that's the big thing. And then Podbean's pushing hard on the programmatic advertising stuff, like everybody else is.
Yeah. Well,
it was like.
Yeah, so it's just, and we've seen some numbers come back for December, and December numbers are looking pretty good, and we're pretty pleased where the programmatic is as well. So,
yeah, I think it's a good alternative for podcasters as opposed to waiting until they get a huge show before they can tap into some advertising revenue.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's terrific. So, yeah, there's lots of stuff going on, in the news and. So things like that. Too.
So what is the story with Google? I mean, they have I guess, does Google Podcast, the interface still exist?
The app still exists. I pulled that up on my phone just earlier today after I saw the article that came out in Pod News. So if you want to read more about this, go check out podnews.net in today's newsletter, and it talks quite a bit about this, but it appears that all they've done is remove the links from Google search results.
That just sucks.
Well, part of I think the backside of the story is that this capability is getting integrated with the YouTube team. So they're basically overseeing this, and I'm not quite sure why they felt that they had to remove it from the search results.
Because they wanted to show up in the YouTube search results at some point.
Probably. That would be a reasonable,
Right.
assumption at this point, right? But the Google Podcast app is still functioning, from what I can tell.
So here I have to promote it because Google, you flipped us the bird. And I'm just going to be frank, that's what they have done here. And Apple, now is the time. Now is the time, since Google can't get their act together. Now is the time to put a podcast app on Android. Now's the time.
Right.
You have there's no excuse at this point to do this. But
they did it with music, so I don't understand why they can't do it with podcasts.
It's time, and because this is just a step backwards. Now, one thing that I kind of spouted off on the Mastodon instance this morning on podcastindex.social was I said, well, subscribe on Android. Here we go again. One click. We brought this to the market, 10 years ago? Now, probably we need to go back and look at that code snippet that we provide app developers.
Right.
And make sure it still works, and let these Android apps, and some of these folks are doing new podcast apps, invoke that code so that we can one click again. I think, if I go to Geek News Central, or New Media Show, let's just go over to New Media Show. And what happens now, of course, I'm not on my phone. If I go over to New Media Show, then I click on the Google Podcast stuff. What does it do? It does take me to at least the listing still.
Mm-hmm.
But how much longer is this going to be available? How long before this is gone?
Oh, the listing in Google search results?
Yeah. How long before podcast.google.com is gone? How long does this stay up? Because
until we see something in YouTube, probably would be my guess.
So, do I want to be promoting? They're idiots. Do I want to start promoting Google Podcasts now as a destination?
Well,
I don't trust them.
I think, Todd, we kind of have to back up and look at this. I think from another perspective too, and that's I don't know that many people are listening to podcasts in episode links off of Google search results. So I think that's probably something that they probably put a metric tracker on to find out how many people are actually listening to audio off of a search result versus clicking a link and going to the podcast app and listening there, right? So that may be what's going on here, because from what I can tell, the links to go to various platforms hasn't changed.
Right,
it's just
that hasn't
the
changed.
Playback links in the Google search results, that's what's primarily gone.
It's discouraging to me, because now
I'm not really surprised though, Todd. If you look at the past, search results, Google's actually done this before. So this isn't the first time that we've done this rodeo with these guys. They actually had an audio tab at the top of search results.
That's true.
Many years ago. And what they found is that there just wasn't a lot of activity around it, and they pulled it out.
Well, they've deprecated podcasting once again. A large part of my traffic is Google. Now, it's not going to affect my Google search results for episodes.
Right. People can still find your podcast.
Right.
Let's be really clear. It's just that those links to actually play the episode in the search results are gone.
Right.
But everything else is still there. So it's still important to be in Google Podcasts. And I believe I don't think you're getting a big hit from plays or downloads.
I think what's going to happen, this is what I predict, whatever they're doing over at YouTube.
Right. They're wanting to get that traffic coming over to them ultimately.
Google's not a fan of RSS.
No, why would they be?
They barely kept FeedBurner online.
Though I've heard that there's a new team working on that.
Well, a little small team that did a small update last year.
Well, that's more than they've done. In a long
Okay,
time.
I think they had to because the servers they were running on
Right.
were full of lint, because they were literally like on their last legs. And someone said, "Well, maybe we ought to go over here and dust this off, and at least fix the security bugs or whatever else was going on."
Yeah.
But
the feed burner air filter needed to be changed.
right, but they've never been they've not been a fan of RSS, so. If they are going to do, this is my prediction, they are going to roll everything it's in podcast.google.com to YouTube. They're going to bring all those listings into YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yep. When? Who knows?
Based on this, I would say 2 to 3 months. That would be my prediction. But do you
That's
think they're
reasonable.
going to get into the hosting game? You say, come over here and host your podcast at Google. And do you think that's going to happen?
It's not going to be Google.
I mean, YouTube. Same thing.
Yeah, right.
It's the same thing. So
I know. All you have to do is look at the YouTube model, and who's going to be the YouTube of podcasting is the question that I would ask myself.
Well, nobody.
YouTube.
Well, YouTube, but the problem is, this show has been on YouTube for 10 years.
Yeah. Right.
We don't get beep for listens over there.
No.
So,
It's been like what 1%, less than 1% of traffic to all of our metrics platforms.
Less than that.
Yeah, right.
It's probably one half of like maybe 1/10 of 1% or something. It's tiny. It's nothing.
So it isn't going to have a negative impact. I
So
think.
no, but it's the perception.
It is.
It's just like the shiny stupid carrot over at Spotify.
Well, Todd, I'm going to pull back history on this a little bit too, because we saw the same pattern happen in the last economic decline that we had. Not major one. This was one that was back in 2008, 2009. A lot of the big corporations got out of podcasting.
That's
completely.
True. Yeah, they
So
jumped.
who knows what's going to happen? I don't think that's necessarily going to happen this time because there's too many business models wrapped up in podcasting.
Well, they're
now,
going to
back
go
then,
break.
There wasn't really any business models wrapped up in podcasting.
Yeah,
So
except they're going to break. I mean, go broke.
or they'll pull back on the number of shows that they have, and I think that's happening to some degree.
Yeah.
They're cutting staff. They're less able to produce new content.
Well, you just look at one of the individuals. It appears. What's the name of the company? Starts with a C. They had a layoff over there.
I remember who that is.
Yeah. My brain is having a brain fart right now. I got to look at because I sent a message to the person that was laid off and said, "Hey, send me your resume." Who was it? I'll go over here and look. It was Castios has had I don't know
Oh, yeah, right.
had maybe more than one layoff. So, I don't know how many. There's I know of one person, so they had at least one. So that's curious to me that, and I've heard some rumors on some other shows, people talking about some podcast hosts that are struggling, that are teetering on the edge. So, we see it. It's pretty flat right now. There's enough customers coming in, but it's pretty flat at this point.
Yeah, I hear this conflict in the medium right now when people comment about this topic. People wanted to pump it up, saying podcasting is healthy and going great and all this stuff.
It's flat.
And it's that's not the reality.
No, it's not. It's pretty
Right.
flat right now.
Right,
So-
and I don't think that should be a surprise to anyone right now. Looking at the landscape of what's happening.
Right.
Well, then another factor with this Google podcast pullback, I guess they also pulled back from the Google Podcast Creators Program, which was in partnership, I believe, with PRX. So they pulled the plug on that. So clearly they're pulling back on investment
well-
in this area and staff.
Well, PRX a bunch of money to implement a bastardized version of value for value, and
Right.
I heard they took 80 grand to implement. So anytime someone pays you to implement something, you have to go, who's the beneficiary? And I'm not the genesis of that thought process. I heard that on another show about I've heard on Podcasting 2.0, I heard him talking about the PRX deal.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of joining the party with the rest of the boys, and gals, they decided to go do their own thing, but they got paid to do something, and probably some shitcoin or something like that is being used. I don't know. I'm just, it's a curious time. And actually, last night I got home from work, and I was talking to my mom a little bit, and I told her, I said, things feel weird right now. Not just business-wise. It just feels
Mm-hmm.
feels a
Things
little
feel very unsettled.
a little weird. And conversations I'm having with people are good, but it feels a little, there's definitely the phone's not ringing as much as it was, and I'm having to do more outreach. We still have our heads, I know we literally have our heads down, going as fast as we can, rolling out new stuff. I'm tired of being on the tailing edge. I want to be on the leading edge. And that's, it's hard to do that. And,
Yeah, it is hard.
but I have come up with a hell of a good idea that everyone on my team agrees is a good idea, but can't tell you, Rob, what that is.
You can't?
No.
Oh, okay. All of our listeners get to miss out then.
That's right. They do. It took me 2 months to decipher it in my head. Literally.
Some opportunity unexplored.
Yeah, it's a lot of code work.
So I also like this other lead story in Pod News from a couple days ago too, about the podcast categories that have the longest listens.
Oh.
Did you see this one?
Yeah, I saw it.
And it's not surprising. I mean, it's really kind of a nothing story in some ways, because podcasts generally are long listen. It's a long listen medium. At least that's the history is.
Right.
But it's pretty much the same show, same categories as the most popular categories. So I don't know how significant this is, but society and culture, comedy, news, true crime, health and fitness. Those are the top 4 or 5 categories in podcasting, period. It doesn't matter how long the podcasts are.
Right.
I think in some ways, kind of the longer podcasts are typically the more popular ones. So it makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
And I think that what we have is, I don't know, I guess I don't care really about those statistics. Do you?
Well, I just don't think that they're that helpful to tell you anything about anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like if you were like a creator that was saying, well, I'm just going to go create a society and culture podcast. What exactly is that? That's
Right.
the question. Why would I even think like that? I don't think like that when I think of what kind of new show that I want to come up with. I don't think about, well, I'm going to make a show because it's a comedy, and that's number 2 on this list. So, yeah, it's the wrong motivation to even be worried about these things.
I've got invited to participate in a pitch contest, and
I did too. It's probably the same one.
Yes, I did a pre-interview for that, and I was just basically talking, what do you look for?
Yeah.
And I said, it's really not what I look for. I look for what's the goal of the show and what's the passion behind it. Because this is what I tell content creators all the time. It's like, you want to do a podcast, but what's your goal? What's your goal in creating that content? And and if the goal isn't really known, that's a show that's destined for failure, because you don't know where you're headed with that show.
Yeah.
And and then do you have the chops to to back it up? So I don't know. I'm just we'll see. Yeah. So I guess you and I are both on that pitch contest. We'll be judging the submissions.
Yeah. And also, do podcast listeners want video? This was another topic that was raised.
Yeah, that's what I actually entitled the YouTube today. I entitled the YouTube, let's see, what have I called it? I called it, Will Podcasters Adopt Live Streaming? Well, based on everything that at least I'm doing at Blueberry, I hope so. Because we're doing
You've
this.
been counting on that for a long time.
Well, this because of this lit thing. I think we know the value of doing live
and video too.
Right,
I think
video.
That's the bigger distinction here. I think it's still surprising to me how many people think that video and podcasting is something new and hot.
Right. Yeah. Meanwhile, we've done video on the show from the beginning.
Yeah, we have.
So whatever episode number, or however
a long time ago.
A long time ago. And I was doing
2011 or something.
I was doing Geek News Central before that. So that's the crazy part too. So, I'm just gonna look because I keep forgetting what the date is.
But it is interesting that this I guess the survey from Morning Consult came back, said that 46% of podcast listeners say they prefer listening to podcasts with video. It's kind of an interesting way of referring to that.
When will they find time? Because that's the challenge here with the video piece.
But it's a confusing sentence when you read it. They prefer listening to podcasts with video. There's a more simplistic way of saying it. They prefer watching video podcasts.
Right.
It would be the simple way of saying it, but that's not kind of how it's written, which makes me wonder if it's a more complex answer to what that phrase means.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're listening to podcasts via video, right?
Yeah.
They may not be watching it.
That's true.
Which is more of a YouTube experience, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about you're walking around doing errands or something like that, and there's a show that you like that you think it's a podcast, and you click play and it's a video, you slide the phone in your pocket, it's playing the video, but you're only listening to the audio. Is that what he's really saying?
Yeah. So I know when this show, New Media Show, the first episode of it was April 14th, 2013 with Jim Lauterbach, but we did the Saturday Morning Tech Show for a couple of years before that.
Prior to that, right.
So I don't think I'll have to go on another site and look for that archive. But those were, so we've been doing more than 10 years, maybe 12 years.
Yeah.
Geek News Central has been since episode 677, and I'm 1,000 episodes further down the road on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So really around the same time frame, I think.
So in this survey, it says that the reason that listeners prefer video, it looks like, is to see, while they're watching video.
Right.
They prefer to see facial expressions and reactions from the hosts and the guests. So, it's really basic to human visual communications, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you think about facial gestures, that adds a depth to the audio that you typically don't get in a podcast, an audio podcast. But a lot of these are probably not podcasts, but they're just YouTube shows.
True.
So, it's an interesting thing. If YouTube does get into podcasting, I'm fascinated to know how they're going to manage that relationship between a video show and an audio show, how they're going to manage that in their platform. Are they going to have a listing that has a link to the audio and then a link to the video, or are they going to segregate this and keep each side, separated?
Right.
So video side over here and the audio side over there in a different area on the platform, or are they going to try and combine it together somehow? I think that's an interesting question for them that they don't really have an answer for that on the music side too much, I don't think.
No.
But they could, I suppose.
Yeah, I just, I go to YouTube, watch videos. I don't
Right.
go.
That's true.
So my first episode actually in Geek News Central that I streamed live was February 22nd, 2011.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's about the time frame that I thought,
yeah, so that would be it's 22, so more than 12 almost 12 years. No, 11, 10 is 21, about 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
So about 11 years. I went that long before starting to live stream. That's amazing that I only did audio for 7 years before I got into video. Of course,
That's longer than most people do their podcasts. So,
but but you think about it though. Those first doing video in 2011, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. It wasn't like this.
Right.
And I think at the time we were on Ustream or something,
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess you're right. The question really then becomes: do we see more live streaming? I think we will with all the tools.
Yeah, I don't see live streaming slowing down.
But
I think it does create a deeper connection with your audience and able to see, our faces. The question gets back to is are we compelling enough in our visual presentation
right
to be playing on the big screen TVs in our living rooms? And I know that's where I watch a lot of the YouTube stuff is on my big screen television.
The compelling stuff are people that have big studios, 3 or 4 people in a studio throwing spitballs back and forth. That's, to me, is, it's true. It's those interactions. They have someone that's actively live switching between multiple cameras. These people have very, very expensive setups. It's not Todd in a studio and Rob. You look at what we have here. We're both, we have great backgrounds. They're not that dynamic, but they're big enough that, there's something a little bit to look at. So
it's not like a bedroom closet door or something like that, and that's it. Right.
So I guess the question then becomes, first of all, I know when I built my studio in my house in Honolulu, I took up a whole bedroom. I had a 4-bedroom place. I put the 2 boys in one room. I had a daughter had her own room. We had a master bedroom, of course, but my boys would have normally had their own rooms. So they had to sacrifice a bed, in their own room for me having that studio. When I moved out of Hawaii, the boys were glad they got their own rooms finally. Of course, they had become teenagers by that point. So, not everyone can take up a bedroom in a house or an apartment to have a studio. Maybe they have. I see YouTubers all the time. They're like propping up cameras in different locations, trying to do something. They have a little green screen behind them, or and they don't have professional sets. So.
Yeah, I select the places that I live based on the ability of me having my own home studio, right?
And
It needs to have enough bedrooms and stuff.
And I've thought at some point, I'd like to travel a little bit more, and I'd like to go spend a month someplace. And when I do, okay, then how am I going to accommodate doing this show? What I'm going to have to do is what am I going to have to travel with? I'm going to travel with a kit again. I'm going to have something that blocks out my background, maybe a few lights, obviously something better than just a mic I'm holding on to. So there's going to have to be some thought into how do I maintain to be able to do the show if I travel, if I'm away from the studio for a month. And it's something I really want to do this year. So I've been thinking about that a little bit.
It gets back to, I think, your big challenge with that strategy is being able to get reliable bandwidth.
Yeah, bandwidth is not as big of a deal anymore.
As it used to be. Right.
Yeah, and obviously you use products like StreamYard and that kind of stuff. Then it's manageable.
Right, because it records locally.
Right. So it's not as of a big lift. I remember before when I took video to Japan. I was still in the Navy, and I took I traveled with a box that, well, actually when I was doing some federal stuff, I traveled with a box, and I did live and did video from a one room, with, and I humped it was like 50-pound box of stuff. It was a big pain in the butt. And I used to do that at CES too. I have a studio in the hotel room as well as on the floor. So I finally said, forget it. I'm not doing that no more. Broken gear, broken cases, broken microphones, stuff getting banged up.
Yeah, I remember those days when you built your own custom.
Yeah, I
stream box.
had a custom stream box, everything.
Yep.
And that sucker was the MV, but when you see it come off the luggage thing and the lids popped off thing,
right, and wires are dangling,
and knobs are missing, and that kind of stuff, you're like, your thousands of dollars of gear is getting beat up. So
they don't exactly treat your luggage very well, do they?
No, and not at all. But at least today with the Rodecaster and some other stuff, you can at least have a good audio chain and not have like 5 pieces of gear you need to travel with. So I don't know. Maybe I think this live streaming stuff is going to take off. I think it'll be a subset of people that do it. So what's the baby step? Do we get them audio streaming first? Is that the easier lift, or is it just easier to go straight to video?
I think from a distribution standpoint, I think it's definitely jumping ahead to do the video streaming first, because if you're just doing audio, you typically have more limited distribution.
Right.
That's the only limitation.
Yeah,
that's there. I would love to see wider distribution of live audio streaming, but I think people are more compelled by live video anyway. So
yeah. Martin sent me a 50,000 sat booth saying stickers, please. Yes, I am way late, Martin, from the Tea Party Media podcast. That's 100,000 sats he sent now for stickers. So this is completely my fault, Martin. I'm going to have to get Rob a pack of stickers and envelopes and stuff, because Rob has obviously more time than I do to ship this kind of stuff out. So
I do.
You do, absolutely, And then I got 111 from Mike Dell, Basket of Richards. So 111 sats. Thanks for that, Mike. We're not going to call it what it is in American terms.
Hey, Todd, did you see this this company in Germany that basically is doing a daily tech news show and is using cloning technology powered by AI to clone this person's voice in a variety of different languages. And I guess growing the show by 37%.
So it sounds like this as they are talking about a show.
It could be, right? But I think more and more, I think we are going to see this kind of translational technology being applied to try and get like this show. If we put it into this engine, it could probably create a version of the show in German and French and all this stuff.
Boy, I bet you that'll be compelling. Rob, I'll leave that up to you, and you can, if you figure it out, then you can publish that German show on Podbean and right. Have it heard over there. Here's I did a little experiment, and I reveal tomorrow the results. So over on Geek News Central, there's 2 articles, CES, and I had them formatted relatively close. One of them is called CES 2023 Wrap-Up. The other one is Blueberry Podcasting introduces quick links. One of the two articles is written by AI with about 15 minutes of editing. So I have a contest going on, and anybody that's listening to this show that wants to participate, feel free to do so. Just go over there, and from the last episode, you'll be able to see 1643. You'll be able to see the criteria, but you just got to send me an email and say CES 2023 wrap up was written by an AI, or Blueberry Podcasting Introduces Quick Links was written by an AI. And again, one of the articles had about 15 minutes of editing because it got some stuff really wrong. And
I thought that you didn't like AI technology.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I just think it's okay. Here's the thing. You can't use ChatGPT now if you wanted to. Good luck. Good luck getting onto it.
I know it's so crowded you can't even get any cycles.
But
on
there's Jasper, there's Contents.com, there's some other ones you can pay to use. And so anyway, just go over there, Rob, and put your guess into the hat on which one it is, and I will reveal tomorrow on my tech show which one of the two articles is been written by an AI. And I think the results are going to be interesting when I reveal. So I know which way people are leaning right now because I see the entries coming in. So, yeah, go ahead and give it a run. Read through them and see if you can figure out which one it is. I write a certain way, so you should be able to see my writing come through. You should be able to. Keywords,
well, it depends on if you went in and kind of edited it and put some things in your own words.
Well, I mostly deleted stuff that was wrong. I deleted whole sentences of stuff that was wrong, replaced a few words, changed a couple of things, and left it at that. So the AI article did have editing. If I had just published it the way it was, it would be like, who he's smoking crack. It's not right. So
speaking of this AI topic and and how that's coming into podcasting, actually, I got a guest for the media show at Podfest.
Oh, who's coming on?
Deirdre Shin, the CEO of Cap Show, is going to join us.
Of who?
Cap Show, which is an AI metadata generator platform. It creates like show notes, descriptions, all that stuff based on your audio.
All right. What's the website?
Capshow.com.
Capshow.com.
CAPSHO.com.
Oh, SHO. No show.
Yeah,
no
it's
W.
not a W. There's no W.
Capshow.com.
Mm-hmm.
How much does this cost? Let's look. They don't say how much it costs. Yeah, they go to pricing and you don't see how much it is. So that means it's expensive. Whenever they don't put the price,
it always means
it always means
it's either that or it's free, Todd. You never know.
Well, they have.
No, I'm kidding. And then Rob Sesternino is going to be there with us too. So there's a lot of issues that we can cover and talk about the AI technology and the chat GPT platforms that are developing and becoming popular out there, and more AI companies. I don't know about you, Todd, but I'm getting hit up by more and more AI companies to do integrations.
Well, no one's contacted me, so I guess we don't care. I guess we don't mount for nothing.
I don't know about that, but
I have not yet gotten a pitch by AI company to integrate. How much does it cost?
Well, there's just a bunch of them from taking things from different perspectives, whether it's transcription, whether it's, like this CapShow type platform that's auto generating metadata really to streamline the publishing process for podcasters. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of issues that go into this too, right? I mean, if you're generating content based on these AI, if you're too simplistic in your requests, or how you're instructing the AI to help you. Now, granted, podcasting is each episode is going to be unique anyway, so you're going to have a custom generated thing. But if you just go to like an image generator, or you go to just like an article generator, if you type in a very generic reference, you could have 1,000 other people typing the same thing in and generating the same article. So it all gets back to customization. And it also gets back to, how do we get these AIs to be more intelligent about the creator that's wanting to utilize them, right? And understanding us as
Well,
publishers.
that's where it gets really expensive, when it's customized AI, when it's
Well,
general.
if you think about how like Descript has done this with the cloning, right, of voices, you have to train it, right? So you have to that AI needs to understand you and how you speak and your cadence and how you present your words, and then it can add and make it really sound like you, and to have it. But there's still this layer of complexity that humans have. So anyway, I'm probably doing the panel session right now. So
okay.
Want to go too far down this rabbit hole. But
I caution this because at some point the venture capital money is going to run out. This stuff is expensive to run.
Yeah, it takes a lot of CPU cycles.
It's a
and
lot,
resources, right?
So these tools, unless you can license them for a reasonable price, the average podcaster is not going to be able to afford them. I appreciate that we're going to have Cap Show Pro on, but I'm going to ask, that's the first thing I'm going to ask is how much? Oh, $90 a month is their pro plan. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. They got a starter plan for $59 a month. Episode title, subscription, show notes, and transcript. Yeah, okay. For $29 a month. Yeah, I'll sign up for an account and take a look. But the question is, how much time do they really save you? And are you going to get docked by Google when they figure out that everything you're putting up online is by an AI?
I don't know. Do we have a clue that Google is able to recognize that?
They say they can.
Well, I do know that all these platforms like Google and Microsoft and everybody are scared to death of ChatGPT right now.
Well,
because they're a threat.
It's a threat to
models.
search. Yeah. So,
right.
But the question then becomes, if one of the successes that I've had on Geek News Central is every article, except for the two that we put up. Well, one of the two that we put up has all been written by humans. There's no regurgitation of press releases. There's the original copy. And if the right query is put in, the same text is going to come out every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that could be picked up by
yeah.
Google. If the same article is published multiple times on multiple sites, then
right. So
then it's either plagiarized or it's AI generated.
So as an example, you tell an AI, give me interview questions for Rob Greenlee. And it pumps out 10 questions. You get going into an interview, and someone asks you the 10 questions, and they put that on the website, question, answer. And then you get someone else that says, give me 10 questions to interview Rob Greenlee. Well, where and when do we, you have to use your damn brain. Right? Use your brain.
No, that's true. That's true.
Do your own research instead of letting some bot figure it out. I don't know. I'm sus to this.
Yeah.
So
it does raise a lot of questions about the future and how this technology is going to be used. there's a lot of talk about how AI is going to replace people in their jobs, especially jobs around creating content or, repetitive type jobs dealing with online forums and the whole spectrum, right? I mean, I've heard people say that there really isn't any white collar jobs that AI won't eventually replace, or even to some degree, the blue collar jobs or the jobs that are more labor intensive. My concern is those are going to be replaced by robots. So you kind of have to be a little bit concerned about, there is technology at both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So, and how do you, as a human, how do you protect yourself? How do you position yourself to move through life to not get victimized by technology?
Yep. Well, we will see what happens with this. But they've made a model. You read one of their blog posts here, 10 podcast show notes, best practices. Make sure your show notes are easy to scan. Have a search engine optimized title. Create a short but intriguing podcast summary. The main point of each episode. Visuals, videos, and graphs. Bios for your guest. A list of resources. Audio transcription. End with a call to action. Share your show notes to social media. Okay, if they've trained their bot to do this, pretty soon people are going to be like, ugh, no originality. For early adopters, the first 100 people that use this, they're going to be cool. They're going to do great. But when you get 10,000 doing it,
right,
then it all looks the same. There's nothing original anymore. It's going to be this machine-fed horse manure.
Well, that's where I guess they're going to have to try and solve that.
Right. And then as a consumer, what do you trust?
What do you trust right now?
Well, I'm sure there's lots of blog posts being written. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever, make sure you check in and say hello. I see you there. You guys haven't said hi. So I think there is a potential here. I don't know. I just remain super, super cautious.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And I don't want to be the old curmudgeon, so you got to do it that way.
Right.
But it feels...
Somehow we still have to maintain the magic of the human aspect of podcasting. We can't just automate it to the point of not being relevant to anyone.
Because if you are going to come up with a compelling episode title, episode player description, detailed show notes, social media captions, intriguing promo emails, full episode transcripts for optimal SEO impact, blog post, LinkedIn article, direct quotes, YouTube description, if you're going to put all of that into a system, again, it's rinse, wash, repeat, but done by a robot.
And does it have the grammar in it too? This is the other question that I have. Yeah.
So if it's that simple, then I'll just let the bot run the show for a few months.
See what happens.
It can be the host and it can do everything. And then when I get sued for saying something inappropriate or get canceled.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Also, I just noticed, I thought you might find this intriguing if you draw some connections here, but Mr. Jack Dorsey, the former CEO of Twitter and Square, I guess he uses Fountain to listen to podcasts.
That's what I heard too. Jack, are you listening to the show? We'd love to have about a 5 million Satoshi boost.
Yeah. Well, I know he's a huge fan of Bitcoin. So you're thinking about the connection between Satoshis and Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, I
can see why he might have a little bit of a fandom thing going on.
So maybe I do a little bait and switch, put a message in the New Media Show notes, put his name in there. See if we can attract him over. I think
'cause
he's invested as well into AI stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess, and by the way, that's for the Fountain guys. Congratulations. And Fountain is a new modern podcast app that you can find at newpodcastapps.com, part of the Podcasting 2.0 initiative that if you're not on, you're behind as a podcaster.
You're not part of the cool kid.
And I'm not even going to mention who's going to be the most integrated Podcasting 2.0 host in the very near future.
Really?
That's right.
Wow. I can't imagine.
I don't know if we're going to be the number one or not.
Who is going to be
Well,
that,
everyone's doing a bunch of stuff. So sorry, guys. Just had to be a little naughty.
Yeah.
This thing we may break everything before it's all over. Who knows?
Right. Well, it's a good
or no one uses
goal.
Or no one uses it.
Right. You never know, right?
It's kind of funny. I was getting ready to do a small YouTube video for Lit, and got everything done. I got everything ready. I recorded this. I was on like at 5 minutes. Bam! I hit it right, and I thought, oh, fantastic! I did one take. It didn't take me too long, and I loaded it up into the editing software, and the audio was like. I don't know what happened, but my Shure SMB7, something happened, and the audio was, it was the new one, the one that plugs in with the USB.
Oh,
it was horrible.
MV7, right?
I had bent the USB pin, and maybe a pin got broke or something, so I'm gonna have to order that stupid cable again. So I was like, oh. One take and then the audio is like.
Todd, did you see this article written by Ashley Carmen from Bloomberg, who's the title of the headline was Apple Podcast doesn't make the U.S. hits anymore. So did you see this?
Oh, people are upset that Apple is promoting shows that have Apple Premium.
Yep.
Which, by the way, you can publish directly at Blueberry.
Delegated delivery.
We don't call it that no more. It's Apple
But
Premium.
Apple did, so.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Well, Apple is a company that has to make money.
Right.
Okay, so, they have to keep the investors happy. So
well, they hired a bunch of employees.
They have to
work on podcasts.
They have to, promote stuff that's going to put pennies in. Are they surprised?
Right. I mean, it's not like the early days of the Apple Podcast platform when they had like 4 guys working on the platform. So
I've been thinking about doing a special series for my tech show called the Twitter Files podcast, and basically go over do one episode on each Twitter Files and do the whole breakdown and make that available as a premium. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know where I can find the time to do it, because the prep on that show will be extensive, because I'll have to have like a whole bunch of stuff ready to rock and roll if I'm going to get through one of those in, an hour. But I thought about doing premium, but it's like, I mean, do all that work and then earn $20. I'd just rather just get Boost. Much easier. Right.
Well, I've heard that there's a lot of people speculating that the Fauci files are coming.
No, they already said they are. So
yeah. Just why is it taking so long?
Well, when you have 3 or 4 people that are investigating each one of these things, it is what it is.
Yeah. Or have they had some challenges? So.
But I just I think that based on what we've been seeing on total number of shows and the number of folks producing content, here's the challenge with a company like Capshow. They've built something big. They need to have a massive amount of revenue coming in to support that animal. And again, I going down to the bottom and I'm trying to figure out, I'm looking for an about page to figure out who these folks are and, where did they get their money and what kind of a runway they're on. So I guess we'll get to ask them at the interview, what's your background, who's funded you, all that stuff in order to, get a feel for, is this going to be around for long term?
Well, I think I think AI and this kind of stuff is with us going forward. I think
it is for sure.
Either embrace it, understand it, or I don't know what the alternative is. It depends on if it works.
I have a few ideas, but I am at the same point, again, remaining very, 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 very cautious. And I'm looking at these podcasts that are using this show, and I am not familiar with any of these people. I'm sure they have successful podcasts, but don't recognize any of these shows they have on their carousel.
Todd, I'm on the podcastindex.org site looking at the latest numbers in the index.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like that number of shows has been going up.
The number of
total shows.
Yeah. So let me find my little script and hit that. Let's see here. Where is it?
Because I think we're at 4,117,593 shows currently, and I think the last time I looked, it was below 41.
It's 4,116,917. That's what we're at. I just ran the script. I don't know if that number matches.
No, but that's okay. It's close enough.
Feeds with new episodes in the last 30 days, 345,000.
Yeah.
New episodes, total new episodes in 30 days is 1.819 million. Feeds with new episodes in the last 60 days, 432. But here's the tell. Feeds with new episodes, 90 days, 489. That used to be 670.
Mm-hmm.
Feeds with value block, 11,243. Feeds with funding tag, 30,000. Feeds with transcripts, 23.4. Episodes with transcripts, 576,000. Feed with chapters, 14,600. Feeds with medium music, 44,507. Feeds with the medium video, 7193. Because you can set a medium marker now in Podcast 2.0 feeds. So, yeah. It's that 30-day number, 345. That's an eye opener. That's down. That's down 50 grand or 50,000.
Since when?
Since like the fall. I said I was going to start. Someone, I think,
started a chart.
I think someone started a chart. John, are you listening? Did you start a chart for this? It'd be easy if this data is, you just got to hit this thing once every 24 hours and pull the numbers, and you could chart this in a spreadsheet. Plot it
on a spreadsheet.
If I was smart enough, I would, and maybe I'll ask ChatGPT to write me a program to pull this data into a spreadsheet every day. I mean, that's what I need to do. That's why I go over there and use ChatGPT if I can ever get in to write me some code to parse this into a spreadsheet.
So if you're a developer, should you be a little worried about these AI
No,
engines?
life's going to get easier.
It's going to be easier, or is it
it's going to get easier.
You just replace them?
No, because there's people that are doing. The code requires work. Sometimes you have something simple like this. Maybe it'll pump something out for you.
It's not going to be complex,
right? But you're still going to need to know how to code to fix whatever goof ups that the system does. Oh, what was that? I don't know what that was. That noise that came in. Is that? Oh, maybe someone's listening to the show. Oh, here we go. John's listening. Huh. See, this, you ask and you shall receive. I got this message on Mastodon. John, thank you so much for this. All right, here we go. All right, let me look at this.
Can you pull it up on
Oh,
the screen?
yeah, here we go. Look at this. Rock and roll, baby. All right.
Wow, it's almost like Chat GPT over the podcast.
I'm going to
right?
tell you something. John Spurlock is a very, very smart man.
Yeah.
And people that don't know of him, he is very, very smart. So feeds with new episodes in the last, from November 19th. So it shows you last 14 days is up a little bit. Last 7 days is up a little bit over the past week.
The last 3 days is up a little bit. But,
So this
that's a fluctuation in a 3-day period. Right?
Yeah, so this scale is from 11/19 until 1/18, so 2 months. So
it's been pretty flat.
Pretty flat, as I have been saying. Things are pretty flat right now. So let's look at this. Feeds with transcript value block chapters. It's slowly going up. If I look at this number, it's slowly increasing. It tells you the adoption rate, right? This is beautiful, John. Feed count change. Here is the numbers. 114 feed count was up 10,000. So you see big ups and downs.
What date was the big upswing?
The big upswing was on January
14th.
And you'd have to dig in the data probably to see what caused that. And then there was big feed drops, and maybe there's some processing that is being done over on Podcast Index on the Podcast Index to clean some things up, because I think he runs scripts every once in a while to clean out the dead shows from Anchor and a variety of other things. So you have to look at this with a little bit of discernment. So here's a telltale new episode in the last days. This top line is, what color is that? That's purple, green. Oh, I guess
the last 90 days.
So this one is last 90 days is down. See, this is you can see we started off with on 11/19 5.7 million, and then on a month later 5.5 million. If we look at last 60 days, we started at 3.9 million, going down to 3.6 million. We go over here to last 30 days, 2.0 million to 1.8. Last 14 days, 979 to 920, not as big. So there you can see that there's new episode drop off. At least this data is showing the last month.
Yeah.
And John, when I'm able to put splits in the system, not quite yet, maybe about another week, we'll add you in the split, because this stuff is.
I think the takeaway on all that is everything is pretty much flat.
It's flat. Well, no, it's not flat. There's a decline.
Well,
it's a 30-day decline. But again, this
Right.
covered November 19th to January 18th. So that crosses over Christmas. But you look at Christmas, right after Christmas, things really, you could see the dip right after 12/25. And here's the dumb thing. The time from 12:15 to 1:30 is the number one time to gain new listeners.
Right.
So people had New Year's resolutions and quit their shows, or what happened, We're good from 11/19 all the way through. And then you hit Christmas, and boy, down she goes.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
starting off the new year with a bang of enthusiasm.
Yes. So the video, let's see, when he started tracking, went from 69.70 to 71, not a big difference. Value block from 10.4 to 11.2. chapters 13 to, that's a big number. That's a big jump. People using chapters, 1,000 more shows doing chapters. Transcripts from 22,000 to 23,000 shows. Funding tag 30,000. Well, I started at 29,555, so not that big of a.
Yeah.
But yeah, this feeds in new episodes. There has been a bit of an uptick, a little bit. Of course, people come on. You think about it though. Come off of, you see an upswing on 3 days, 7 days, 10 and 14. Here's why: because
It's New Year's.
people came off of vacation.
Right.
So they started creating
New
content.
Year's
So maybe this'll translate out 60 days and stuff. Those lines haven't been affected yet because it's not far enough. So there is, maybe people are back, but
Yeah.
right around
The
Christmas.
14-day number is trending back up again.
Yeah, it's trending
a little
back
bit.
up quite a bit. So if you look at, let's see here. Let's come on New Year's Day, 247,557.
And the 30-day number is trending up a little bit
A
too.
little, yeah. So people definitely took a break over the holidays. You can see 12/25. Then it didn't come back until
Yeah. And, well,
First of
across
January.
the board, things are trending back up again. Even the last 7-day number, that green line,
yeah.
is also trending back up again.
So it'll be fun to watch this.
Well, those that say podcasting is a hockey stick, all they have to do is look at this.
Mhm.
It's not growing that fast, but I think if you trended this out over multiple years, I think you would see similar pattern. I mean, I think if you went back to the pandemic timeframe, when
Yep.
the lockdowns, I think that the number of new feeds was growing a lot faster.
And
than
he's
this.
already took care of this. I got to add this link to my cheater
Right.
sheet. He's got a tabbed limited data file available. It's in a TSV file. What is TSV? Oh, that's interesting. I don't even know what TSV is. I'm going to have to look that up. So, yeah, this is brilliant. I knew you did something with it, John, but I appreciate you.
So let's look at these total numbers.
Yeah.
Let's just scroll down again. It says here, total. Okay. Let's see here. Anything interesting in these numbers?
Well, they're
Okay.
tracking 94,995 total podcast episodes. But again, it shows total number of episodes in 3, 7, 10, 14, 30, and 60 days.
New podcast episodes. That's a separate tracking. Yeah.
Yeah, this is gold stuff right here. And the only reason we got all this, Rob, is because of the podcasting 2.0 folks. No one else is doing this.
Right.
So here's a little, all right, podcasters, listen. I'm serious. Listen. Go over to podcastindex.org and throw these guys some money in PayPal. This thing has to be supported by us. This whole, what John's doing, I'm going to throw him in the value block. We'll make sure he gets a donation from us for going over this data. But take this and support this, because this is where we can see without any interference. There's no commercial interest here. There's no one trying to juke the numbers, make up a story, and we can see what's really going on in the podcasting space. If I was a podcast investor, man, this page alone that John has created is invaluable to see what's going on in the podcasting space.
Mm-hmm.
And he put this up. The data is provided by Podcast Index, and John put together a script and coded some cool stuff up. I know some stuff John's working on I can't talk about, so I'm expecting big things to come out of his court soon too. So this is not just Adam Curry and Dave Jones. There's just a whole plethora of people doing, I'm just going to call it the way it is, cool shit. Excuse my French. It's cool.
So this is at livewire.io is where this is hosted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure for just average Joe programmer, this is just like a a 101 exercise, I would think. I don't know. Maybe it's more complicated than that, but
So is this live data? Is this
every 20
plugged in?
he pulls this every 24 hours.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Yeah. So go over and throw a podcast index of Benjamin. They're not getting rich on this. They have true expenses, server expenses every month to run all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Blueberry sends a donation. I try to do a donation every month. And here's the thing: is that what's getting tricky with this donation stuff, Rob. Technically, once I get above $600, it gets weird. It gets weird because we just finished an IRS audit and 2.5 weeks up our knickers, and we came out clean. And I don't want to have to go through that again. It was a full blown. If you ever been through a full blown audit, thank God for my CFO, and job well done to him. But holy crap.
It's a probe.
Yeah, it is. And if you own a business, and this is something we've been like hardcore strict on, if you own a business, don't use your credit card for personal expenses because they will find it and you will be fined. So yeah, this is cool. This is cool stuff. So I add that link to so I'll be able to pull this up again. I am going to a No Agenda meetup tonight down in Fort Wayne.
Really?
Yep. I'm going to go hang out with a bunch of knights and dames.
Wow.
People are like, what? What is that?
So is Adam going to be there?
No, it's just a regional meetup.
It's just a fan thing.
Yeah, fan thing. And if there's 15 people there, I'll be happy. I'm not organizing it. Somebody else has. But anyway, this, it's an interesting time to be in the podcasting space. I'm prepping for a big event in February that I'm sworn to secrecy on. I can't talk about, but I guess I'll come back and say whether it was successful or not. So there'll be no show on February 8th.
So speaking of a topic that's related to the podcasting index, but I guess Spotify is claiming that they have 5.523 million shows in their catalog.
Great. Fantastic.
So that's over 1 million more.
Yeah, okay. They're counting everything that has been in their system of all time. They haven't removed 2 to 3 million dead shows that were in their platform. Right. So that
I guess
they've got to have a number that gets bigger, even though it's the sea of dead.
Right, and then Apple claims that they have 2.528 million.
Okay.
So I know that they've been cleaning house pretty aggressively the last couple of years.
So we've been looking at the podcast index data. I feel pretty confident about what they're putting out and the methodology they're using to keep the crap out. But also there's a lot of stuff that's podcasts now that are not just spoken word. There's this whole ecosystem of content that's not in any directories that are being delivered as podcasts. Music, indie bands. It just goes on and on and on and on.
YouTube shows?
Well, I don't know about that.
Are being thought of by listeners as podcasts.
Well, okay.
But I think it's interesting that the podcast, it's an Industry Insights. I think this is run by Daniel J. Lewis, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's claiming that there's only 2.529 million podcasts.
Okay.
So, which is more in line with what Apple is claiming.
Again, it's how you scrub the data.
Right, and I know I've talked to Dave Jones about this topic of why there's this huge discrepancy between what they have and what Apple has and what Daniel has here. And it all gets back to, from what I gathered from Dave, is that there's, just like what you said, there's a lot of shows that are not in Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, there's a lot of content that can't be in Apple Podcasts.
Can't, or have never submitted to them.
I think both.
Because Apple doesn't pick up shows outside of their submission process.
No, they have to be submitted.
Right. Which the podcast index can pick up shows from anywhere.
I don't, be honest with you, I don't care if the number's 10 million. That, to me, that...
Well, it doesn't really matter. It's only the active shows that really matter.
That's right. It's what is, what's active, what is, what's being produced right now. What are you competing against as a content creator? And you're not competing against very much right now. Now, John, if you want to make this even more interesting, and if we could get this data parsed somehow, then what I would love to see, and actually I'm going to have this data soon, and just, I have to prioritize my dev work too, and not everything Todd wants, the little pet projects, but active shows by category. That would tell you how many you're really competing with. So if you broke down every Apple, let's just take the Apple Podcast categories, or top level, just do the top level categories, and shown those numbers, how many, for arts and, or for tech, how many have produced an episode in 3, 7, 10, 14, 30, 60, and 90 days. Then you get into some really, you can see what's really going on by genre. And then you could actually say, okay, there's 862 true crime shows I'm actually competing against. Or whatever that number may be.
I'm looking at the detailed statistics on Apple Podcasts in Daniel's site here, and it shows that there's about 75 million episodes that's available in Apple right now. And I noticed in the index
about 95 million.
95, so there's about a 20 million difference.
Yep.
But yet there's what 3
double, about double.
Yeah. A less than half of
catalog. And that shows, and they've got John's got criterion here not to include he has a logarithm or a rule set up in when an anchor show can be added. Because a brand new anchor show does not get into, I don't think it gets into the index until it hits a certain threshold.
So, and also it says here that Apple yesterday added like 1,100 shows. And then in the last 30 days, they've added 20,000 shows to the Apple catalog.
Okay.
And they've removed in the last 30 days about 11,000.
Yeah, you notice they always remove less than they add. Because they can't let that number go down. That would be a negative on their stock.
That's a bad PR spin for them, right?
Right.
If their total number of podcasts drops too fast. Right.
When we did a directory clean, because I had not been adding to my directory for a while, I was actually surprised how few shows we had. And our criteria was no RSS feed, remove. If the RSS feed was dead, we take it down. If the media, if the RSS feed was up and no media, we took the show down. And that was the first gut that we ran through just to kind of clean, because we've had this thing running since 2006. So I thought it was going to be much bigger than what it was. And I was shocked that, I was expecting like 30, 40,000 shows being removed, and it ended up being a couple thousand. And I was like, wow. So a lot of shows that have been really off the air since 06, 07, their RSS feeds are still up, and so are their feeds. I mean, so is their media. No one's going to ever listen to that stuff, but.
Yeah. Todd, there's an interesting stat in here about how long shows have been active, right? So how long they've existed in the Apple catalog. It said 5+ years is about 150,000 shows.
Yeah, I believe that. They have a 10+ year number.
Just that's the longest is 5+.
So if you think about 5, he said those are active or have been in the doesn't it just says they've been in the directory?
Just current catalog
Yeah.
shows.
Well, I have a show that I rejuvenated here a few days ago that's been around since 2006. It's called the Blueberry Test Show. It's got a single episode in it. It's me saying, "Hey, this is a test. Don't listen to this. This is we're breaking stuff before you do, that kind of thing." And that show's not in Apple Podcasts though. It was removed a long time ago because it wasn't active, but it's it's in our directory because it has been. So
right, and it says that there's about 690,000 shows in the catalog that have been in there from 1 to 2 years.
Makes sense.
And then about 335,000 shows that have been in there for 91 to 365 days. So, and it continues to fall, but the 8 to 30 day number is 182,000. And the 0 to 7 days is about 102,000.
Right.
That's interesting.
Well, Rob, I've got a hard stop at 4:30 here, so we got about 5 minutes left. You guys getting tired of us talking about this stuff? You don't talk to us no more. So it's very, very simple. It's a simple thing. It's Todd at blueberry.com, BLUBRRY.com, Blueberry without the E's, or at Geek News. Or you can use even our Twitter account at NMS Podcast on Twitter. Rob?
Yeah, I can be found on Twitter too at Rob Greenlee. And I have a website, robgreenlee.com, and you can certainly get a hold of me, robg at podbean.com. But I think, Todd, that's an interesting question. I know that we've been off quite a bit during the holidays. So I just wonder if us getting back going, getting some live shows going again,
it'll help.
We'll rejigger this a little bit, or is there other things that we need to start doing with the show to reach people again? So
the numbers are still good. I have to go back and pull the stats. I haven't been in there in a month or two, so I should go in and look. But I know people complain when we're off. I see those comments. So
right.
Like some people care. I see them in different areas. But I just I don't know. Yeah, let us know. It's kind of slow right now in podcasting. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, what can we do to kind of re-energize it again?
Podcast naked, maybe.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that always works.
Yeah. Now the thing is, I'm going to put my camera right below my chin.
I could be naked, but you're not going to see
That's
it.
right.
So, right.
You might see the tips of my shoulder blades once in a while, but I'm going to put the camera right about there.
Well, you don't know if I'm wearing pants or not, anyway.
Knowing you, probably not. It's cold here. I'm wearing pants.
I keep the house warm. So. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and
are we gonna be doing a show before we head down to?
I fly on Wednesday, so no. The next one will be the live show at Podfest, or I don't know if we're going to be live. We're going to record it.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be live yet either. That's the other question. I was thinking about bringing my camcorder. I don't know if you have a camera that you might want to bring that we can probably set up to at least record the video and then try and match the audio up with it.
Yeah. Let me think about that. I do have that type of technology, but that means packing an extra suitcase and a tripod. But I'll look and see what I've got here if we want to do it well.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's always relative. Like who's going to man the camera?
Well, you just set it up and do a one shot and be done with it.
Right. So, which is kind of boring, but
that's what you get when you're on a tight budget. Unless someone wants to throw us a whole bunch of money. Speaking of which, we got to get that specific prior Twitter executive listening to the show and throw us 5 million Satoshis or something.
Oh, yeah. Jack, come
Jack,
on,
hey,
come
Jack,
through for us.
of course, we'll lose half the audience if Jack invests in the show. A lot of people don't like Jack, but it's well, I'm not against taking an
I don't think
investment.
Jack censored you.
No, not
himself. It's not like he pushed the button.
no,
So,
and
right.
but I'll leave it at that. All right, everybody, thanks for being here. We'll see you. Actually, we won't see you next Wednesday, but we'll have an edition for you. Come out of Podfest. Should be a very spirited conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
And
thanks.
I'll leave you with a screen. And let's see here, which screen? We'll throw you the Saturn screen, and you can see the Boostgrams as we're heading out. Thanks, everybody. Take care. See you next time.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
All right, bye.